Previously on Championship Rings.
I don't get the hype around the Seahawks team. How did they win 10 games? I don't see it. I don't see
They're
it on
gonna
a
they're gonna win 10 games
I
again.
I don't see it. I don't see Sam Darnold being an upgrade over Geno Smith. The AFC is so tough with quarterbacks. I've flirted with this team being a playoff team for a long time, but I think at the very end, they just unfortunately miss it.
Now that Brandon's takes have been exposed, how will he defend himself against Josh Ungar as the greatest sports debate show on the internet? Championship Rings begins now.
So that was back in August. Now we're going to get to the AFC and NFC championship game. We do have a little bit of breaking news, but Josh, I got to tell you, man, I hate admitting being wrong, especially on my favorite sport, the NFL. But this year, you were right.
I told you with both the Patriots and the Seahawks. We have got a rematch 11 years in the making. Hey, Mike McDonald, if you get down to the 1 yard line, just run the damn ball. Don't try to be cute and pass the ball. Don't do that. No.
Well, let's start, though, with some breaking news that we have, which is that Bill Belichick did not make the NFL Hall of Fame on his first ballot.
Yeah, this is crazy to me. What is he, a 7-time Super champion? And he doesn't make it first ballot. Like, I get it. You had Spygate and Deflategate, but still, like, yeah, it didn't go great for him in Cleveland, and it didn't go great for him with the Jets. Well, he didn't actually coach with the Jets, but still, he gets to the Patriots, and, well, they became the modern dynasty that we know, love, and hate today. How is he not first ballot?
Well, Bill Belichick has won a grand total of 8 Super Bowls, 6 as the head coach, 2 as the defensive coordinator of the New York Giants. But
Okay,
he was
thank
never
you for clarifying that.
He was never a fan favorite of the media. And this is a media vote, and the media just showed their cards. And that's the only logical explanation here.
I mean, if Tom Brady doesn't get in first ballot, then I'm really going to have an issue.
Well, Tom Brady's going to get in first ballot. I mean, Tom Brady could have got in when he retired. They could have put Brady right in. But I actually think you could make the case that they are leaving Belichick out until Tom Brady is eligible because they want to put them in together.
The only other explanation I can think of is that they want to hold Spygate and Deflategate against him.
Well, I think Spygate you could hold against him. I still don't believe Deflategate was a real thing. I don't, because I don't think it mattered in the game.
I mean, that, to be fair, both teams had to deal with the bad weather conditions, so.
And the Patriots blew them out like 44-14 or whatever it was. Like, it was not a close game.
Yeah, and that was the year the Colts made their crazy run because they won in the wild card at home against Cincinnati, and then they went to Denver and beat the Broncos.
Correct. So, I mean, that's the only thing. I mean, obviously, I think we all know Bill Belichick with Tom Brady is one of the best head coaches of all time. I mean, you can certainly make the argument that without Tom Brady, he has certainly struggled. He's way under 500 without Brady, but what he did in his run in New England is Hall of Fame worthy alone.
Oh, 100%. And maybe, could it be that his first year at North Carolina hurt his Hall of Fame case?
Well, no, because you can't put that into perspective because the NFL Hall of Fame is not like the Basketball Hall of Fame where it includes high school, college, NBA. The NFL Hall of Fame is specifically the NFL Hall of Fame. There is a specific college football Hall of Fame as well.
No, I know. I know. I've been to both. The Pro Football Hall of Fame is in Canton, Ohio, and the College Football Hall of Fame is in Atlanta, Georgia. I know they're two separate things, But what I'm saying is, as you said, the media votes on this. So could it be that the media saw how poorly his first season was at North Carolina, and so when they went to vote, they held that against him?
What I'm saying is, if that was the reason, then that's just morally wrong because you're not supposed to do that.
Again, I get you're supposed to separate the two, but because he's not coaching in the NFL anymore, I understand that. I'm not saying you're.
So we have to base his Hall of Fame tendency based off his NFL career. And my biggest theory is they want to save him and Brady to put them both together. That's my theory. And I think they're going to do the same thing with Gronk, by the way.
I don't think so. I was reading on social media that Bill Polian, who was one of Belichick's biggest rivals, because he was a general manager with Buffalo. Yep. He was
with the Colts. He was the general manager with the Colts.
Oh, yeah. But I think he had some involvement with the Buffalo Bills, if I'm not mistaken.
At some point, maybe, but he was the architect behind the Peyton Manning team that took them down in the 2006 AFC Championship game.
Yes, but I think he was involved with the Buffalo Bills in some way. No matter what, I read that he was the one kind of leading the push on Spygate and Deflategate and making Belichick wait a year because of those.
Well, it wasn't only that. I would argue the media just doesn't like Bill Belichick in general because he was never nice to them, ever.
And him and Greg Popovich were kind of similar in a couple ways. And the primary one I think of, based off what you're saying, and I'm not disagreeing, is they didn't really give a lot of details and information for the media to work off of.
Well, it's not that. I mean, that they were just mean to him. They would disregard everything. And then on top of that, they turned into two grumbly, stumbly old men that think they knew everything.
Again, I'm not disregarding that. I'm just saying in this particular case, to me, the bigger point is the fact that neither of them really said anything ever. Like, you go back and watch Bill Belichick's post-game press conferences, like after the Kansas City game, we're on to Cincinnati. Like, he didn't really give any information at all.
Well, he's not. I mean, he doesn't have to. You don't have to give information. You can volunteer it, but you don't have to.
No, I understand that, but that's part of the media's job. You know this is to pose questions and get the players and coaches to talk. And
here's a question I have for you: how important is first ballot really? Now, again, we're not a player, we're not a coach. We don't know that. But if you're a player or a coach and you don't make it first ballot, are you that upset over it?
I would say, yeah. Because you look at some players and you're like, he's clearly first ballot. For example, Randy Moss, my personal favorite wide receiver of all time. If he did not make it first ballot, that would have been an issue. But somebody like, I'm trying to think.
Like a Terrell Owens.
Yeah. Is he a Hall of Famer? Yes. I don't think he's first ballot Hall of Famer, though.
Now, when we talk about Hall of Famers, though, like in the past, Joe Montana, Shannon Sharp, Troy Polamalu, do we say they are first? I don't know if any of these guys are first ballot, but you know what I'm getting at. Do we call them first ballot Hall of Famers, or do we just call them Hall of Famers?
As far as I know, we just call them Hall of Famers.
That's what I'm saying. So to me, I don't know. I get why people would be upset, and it is wrong because Belichick should be. But if I'm Belichick, I don't really care.
And that's probably Belichick's reaction. But for some players, or coaches for that matter, being first ballot does matter. You know,
I always thought this, though. If you're a first ballot Hall of Famer, you shouldn't have to wait 5 years. That's always been my argument. If you're a first ballot Hall of Famer, when you retire, you should be going into the Hall of Fame immediately.
like, for example, my favorite player of all time in Major League Baseball, Ken Griffey Jr., you watch him play, you're like, first ballot Hall of Famer. Easy. You watch others like Derek Jeter, Mariano Rivera. You could just tell right away, easily.
Yes.
First ballot Hall of Famers. So
when Kobe Bryant retired, and God rest his soul, it was just, the 6-year anniversary of his passing, I would have put him right in the Hall of Fame. Same with Michael Jordan, same with Tom Brady. Those level guys, I don't wait 5 years. If you are first ballot, you go in the minute you retire. Even if you come back, you could do a wrestling thing where you are a Hall of Famer, but you are still playing on the field. I actually think that'd be really cool to do.
Yeah. Interestingly, you're talking about that because Phillip Rivers came out of retirement to play for the Indianapolis Colts. He has to wait another 5 years before being Hall of Fame eligible.
Yes. And I just, I don't know. I think 5 years is a long time. That's just me.
I mean, the Hall of Fame.
I mean, Belichick doesn't have to wait, right? He was out of the game for what? He's been out of the NFL for what? This week, 3rd year now.
Yeah. So I do love that with the NFL, at least, they do the Hall of Fame knocks where they have former players come up and knock on the new Hall of Famers doors. I watch that TV program every time. I absolutely love it.
Okay, well, from the Hall of Fame to the on the field, because the New England Patriots advanced to the Super Bowl after a 10-7 game that turned into a complete blizzard in the second half. But obviously, Josh, the biggest play of the game was when Denver was up 7-0 early on in the game, and Sean Payton decided to go for it on that 4th down.
Okay, so first of all, let me address something. Because I've heard people saying, oh, the AFC Championship should have been played in a dome. No, I loved that game. Yes, it turned into a blizzard, but you know what? Both teams had to deal with it. It's not like New England had an advantage over Denver. Like, both teams had to play in it. It was beautiful to watch. Both teams had to make adjustments, and New England was just able to make more adjustments, and they came out with the win. I don't think anything should change. Like, the AFC Championship should not be a neutral site or anything like that. Let's stop with all that nonsense. But anyway,
go ahead.
But to address the Sean Payton call, I agree with the decision to go for it, but the play call was pathetic. Like, why would you have a backup quarterback? Why are you trying like a weird pass like that? Either you've shown that you can run the ball effectively. Why not just run the ball with RJ Harvey? Or maybe a quick slant pass, for example. But the play call I just thought was wrong. The decision overall, though, was correct.
Okay. So I agree with one of your points. I disagree with another point. I'm going to start with the point that I agree with you on first, which is I actually agree with you. The play call to go for it was the right decision. I also agree with you that the actual play call itself was a terrible play call. The one point you made about running the football with RJ Harvey, I'll do you one better. How tall is Jared Stidham? 6'3", something like that. He's a pretty tall quarterback. Why don't you just get behind him and do what 31 out of 32 teams usually do in that situation and push the ball? Because if you don't get a yard in that situation, in my opinion, you don't deserve to win the game. And I look at it, I know it's 7-0 in that spot. I know they could have went up 2 possessions and made it 10-0. However, in that situation, when you are that close to the red zone, I believe that kicking a field goal is almost a win for the defense. And I don't think Sean Payton knew that it was going to turn into an absolute blizzard. To your other point, excuse me, yes, both teams did have to make adjustments in that second half, but I thought it was very ugly football. I mean, neither team could really move the ball. Once the Patriots got the lead in the game, it did feel like, to me at least, the game was over from that point on because Denver really could not move the ball.
No, I agree with that. And maybe the game would have been different if they still had their starting quarterback, Bo Nix.
Well, thing, I wonder if they ran that play call with Bo Nix on 4th down, do they get the first down?
I would say they probably do.
I just don't understand why you're going east to west laterally on 4th down.
Yeah. The one thing I will say, though, is like Sean Payton has always been aggressive like that. You know, think back to Super Bowl 44. He came out in the second half and did the onside kick, which, of course, nobody was expecting. So it's in Sean Payton's DNA to do this. But I do disagree with him going for it, you know, a couple times early in that game prior to that when you had the opportunity to kick field goals. I feel like that's been one of the things that's hurt teams throughout the season and the postseason is teams just want to be so aggressive that they forget the kickers are a factor.
Well, can I tell you why? It's because of the new kickoff. Because if you kick the ball to the end zone and you get down to the 35-yard line, now the other team only needs 2 first downs and they're in field goal range.
Right. But it's still like, you know,
if I kick a 20-yard field goal, what good is that going to do me? Where if I miss it on 4th down, I still have to make them drive the field.
Yeah, but if you're only down 3, why not take the points?
Okay. If you're down 3, they were up 7-0.
See, it's 2 different examples. But we did get some news in regards to the Broncos, which caught me a little off guard. They fired their offensive coordinator.
Who doesn't call plays? I don't really know what Joe Lombardi does. I mean, he was pretty good. He was okay when he was with the Chargers.
Yeah, but I would imagine it's Sean Payton calling plays like you're saying. So I don't know what the point of an offensive coordinator is if the head coach is the one calling the play.
Well, I'll tell you, here's the point, and no one knows this. They are the ones that are running the meetings during practice during the week. They're the ones in the film room, the QB room. That's when the head coach does not do, even if he is the play call.
Okay. But, so, Joe Lombardi was the one that put the plan in place, basically.
He helped with the plan, yes.
So, in some regard, I got to hold him accountable for the 4th down play then.
Well, but Sean's the one that calls it, and obviously that's Sean's mind. Nice to meet you, Rings. My name's Brandon, by the way. Says he works with you sometimes during Monsters games, so.
Yes.
Nice to meet you as well, Badger, 19.98, but yeah, I mean, this news was a little strange because it kind of came out of nowhere because it's like, you almost got to the Super Bowl. It's kind of like the Niners when they fired Steve Wilkes a couple years ago, where it's like everybody knew he was going to get fired, but they ended up making the Super Bowl anyway.
Yeah. But somebody was wrong about Sam Darnold.
I was wrong. Sam Darnold, not only did he prove himself to be a franchise quarterback this year, however, I am still going to stamp my foot on this. I do think that a lot of Seattle's success this year was due to Quinn Kubiak. And I think if he gets a head coaching job, then the Seahawks and Sam Darnold are going to regress. but this was a team that made some key free agent signings, made a key trade at the deadline, as you've been talking about for weeks with Raheem Shaheed. A really good roster all the way around, and they outplayed the Rams in the second half.
So, remember I posed the question to you last week. Is Rams Seahawks Part 3 the real Super Bowl? And you said it depended on who won the AFC Championship.
Yep.
Knowing that it's New England, has your opinion on that changed?
Everybody thinks the Seahawks are going to blow the Patriots out, and I don't. I think it's going to be a very close game, and I think New England has a real shot to win the game because I think Seattle's offensive line is not very good. And I think you saw the pressure that when the Rams were able to get pressure on Sam Darnold, he did struggle a little bit. I thought the game completely changed, by the way, when they had the muff punt and then Darnold throws the touchdown to Bobo the very next play. Momentum completely changed on that. Now, it could have changed back again when Tariq Woolen, unfortunately, got the worst taunting penalty I've ever seen in my life. There's no way that should have been called. Let me put that out there right now. And then Stafford throws the touchdown to Puka Nacua the next play. And I don't know why nobody has brought this up. The score at that point is Seahawks 31, the Rams 26. Everybody wants to talk about why did Sean McVay go for it on that 4th and 4. What I want to talk about and what I ultimately believe decided this game is why did Sean McVay, when it was 31-26, they just got that touchdown after that horrific taunting penalty. They could have went for 2 to make it a 3-point game, and they kicked the extra point. I don't understand that one at all.
Okay, so wait a minute. You're praising Sean Payton for the 4th down call.
Yes.
But you're holding it against Sean McVay.
I'm holding it against Sean McVay that he didn't go for 2 when they scored the touchdown.
No, I know, but it circles back to the aggressiveness conversation.
No, it doesn't, because it's a 5-point game. No, it's a 5-point game. Guess what? If you get the 2-point conversion and it's a 3-point game, then you can kick a field goal to tie the game, Josh.
That circles back to the aggressiveness.
No, it doesn't. The difference between 4 and 3 is massive. The difference between 5 and 4 is nothing. How do you not understand the math behind this?
No, okay. I get the no.
Okay, go ahead.
I get the math. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying it circles back to the aggressiveness conversation that we just had.
But it's the same conversation. It's not the different. It's not a different conversation. It's the same conversation.
No, I didn't say it was a different conversation. I never said that. All I said was it circles back to that conversation.
But I'm praising Sean Payton because the score is different compared to what McVay is. The situation's different. It calls for different things.
And I'm saying that you're holding that in favor of Sean Payton, but you're holding it against Sean McVay, rightfully so. I'm not saying you're wrong.
Oh, okay. No. I thought you were saying I was wrong. That's where I'm confused.
No. I think you are correct to hold it against Sean McVay, but praise Sean Payton. That's why I was saying.
Okay, see, I don't think it's different. I think of it as the difference between 5 and 3 versus 5 and 4. That's my only argument.
I'm not saying it was different, though. I was just saying it circles back to that conversation overall. But to get back to Sam Darnold,
he absolutely played the best game of his life, and I will not deny it. He played great, but I think Clint Kubiak has a lot to do with the success of that team. That's all I'm going to say.
Mike McDonald and Clint Kubiak have been fantastic together.
Which, I mean, if Arizona or the Raiders, God knows, we know the Browns aren't going to, but if Arizona and the Raiders don't hire Clint Kubiak, then the Seahawks might go back to the Super Bowl next year.
We will see, but, everybody's going to talk about what the Jets must be feeling like and what the Panthers must be feeling like. You've used this line a few times throughout the show. I forget exactly how you say it, but success, there we go. Success is not linear.
Yes.
So just because Sam Darnold is playing like this with the Seahawks, and just like how he played pretty well with the Vikings last year, doesn't mean he would have played like that with the Jets.
Thank you.
It doesn't mean he would have played like that with the Panthers. I'll give San Francisco some credit. Yes, he was the backup quarterback there, but he still got to work with one of the greatest offensive minds in the league, Kyle Shanahan. And I bet you that really improved his confidence. And then he goes to Minnesota, works with another great offensive mind in Kevin O'Connell. Yes, he laid an egg in the season finale against the Detroit Lions. And yes, he played poorly against the LA Rams in the wild card. But throughout the season with Minnesota, you saw how well he could play. Remember, after that Green Bay game, they were literally showering him, which I personally didn't love because it's like, you haven't done anything yet. You still have to go to Detroit and beat the Lions. But nonetheless, so this
100%. This comment.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So, but it's not surprising that, when you've got Jackson Smith and Jigba, when you've got Jake Bobo, you've got Kenneth Walker, you've got Zach Charbonnet. Granted, he's injured and out, but still, he was a big part of what the Seahawks were doing. You go out and you trade for Rashid Shaheed. You go out and sign Cooper Kupp, and he made some important plays in that game, especially on that third down when he stretches the ball out.
Okay, so I want to talk about that play because there's some controversy in the internet about whether or not it was a catch. It was 100% a catch. But I'm going to be honest about this. I don't think he made the line to game. I think he was about a half a yard short when his hip hit the ground. And McVay called timeout, I think, expecting an expedited review. He has the red challenge flag in his hand. The referee, I think, is clearly telling him he cannot challenge because he gets upset. He puts the flag back in his pocket. And it is never addressed on the broadcast. To me, I thought he was short of that. Now, by the way, if I'm Seattle, if he is short, I'm sneaking in on fourth down. But I thought that was a major miss for the broadcast. They just ruled that a first down, and it went on. And I did not think he made the line to game.
Yeah, that whole sequence was weird. And I didn't fully understand it. So I'm not going to sit here and try and defend it and say, yes, it was a first down, but I'm also not going to sit here and say it was not a first down. I
thought it was close. I mean, listen, I hate again that each of these games are coming down to the officiating call.
Yes, but do you get my overall point, though?
Well, and again, I thought the taunting call on Tariq Woolen was just garbage. There's no way that should have been called taunting, and that would have ended the game right there. Seattle absolutely deserved to win this game. I was wrong, and they outplayed the Rams in the second half.
But here's my big issue is, in general, I think quarterbacks get way too much credit. I understand why they get paid millions, and you want the best quarterback. I get it. But if you don't have good to great weapons around the quarterback, it doesn't matter. Do you think Sam Darnold would have been as great as he was?
Buffalo is your prime example that you're kind of wrong on that.
Josh Allen's like the one. Josh Allen didn't become.
Well, Josh Allen's a great quarterback. You just said the quarterback gets way too much credit. Okay, Josh Allen's great.
Hold on. Josh Allen did not become the way we know Josh Allen to be until he got Stephon Diggs.
Yes, but now that he's mature, now he doesn't need as many weapons. It's kind of like what Brady did in New England the last 5-6 years he was there.
Okay, but you look at somebody like Sam Darnold, for example. We didn't start heaping all this praise on him until he got to Minnesota, and he had Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison,
Yes, but
TJ
he also had
Hawkins.
Kevin O'Connell. I think the coaching part of it is more underrated than the players. I think you need better coaching. Because
Both
Josh Allen was not this Josh Allen until Joe Brady came back out because Ken Dorsey didn't work as an offensive coordinator.
two things can be true though. I'm not saying you're wrong, but at the same time, you can't say that. Like, do you think Jaden Daniels would have been as good as he was rookie year if you didn't have Terry McLaurin, Brian Robinson, Zach Ertz? I don't.
Well, he didn't have that many weapons. I mean, that's not a stacked weapon. Brian Robinson's a third string running back?
Okay, fair. What about your quarterback, Jalen Hurts?
Okay.
Who does he have around him? Devontae. He's got A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert.
And he struggled with Brian Johnson as his offensive coordinator, had Kellen Moore, made it to the Super Bowl, and then, by the way, did not play that great down the stretch with Kevin Patul as his offensive coordinator.
Again, two things. I'm not trying to discredit the coaching. You make it sound like
I think the coaching matters more than the weapons, is what I'm saying. I think Kevin O'Connell, I think Quint Kubiak is more important to Sam Darnold than JSN. I really do believe that.
Okay, Baker Mayfield is still great despite an off year. Yes, Tampa.
Okay, this conversation has nothing to do with Baker Mayfield, though. By the way, Tampa had some more weapons. Remember how great Emeka Buka was to start the year? What was their biggest loss? It wasn't. I mean, Mike Evans got hurt, but why did they fall apart? They don't have Liam Cohen anymore.
I'm not saying coaching isn't important. You make it sound like I'm saying
no, but I think I put more value on the coaching than I do the weapons.
Okay, and you know what? Jacksonville is a prime example because you're right. Trevor Lawrence didn't become who he is until Liam Cohen got there. Yes.
And by the way, coaching gets the best out of your weapons. JSN became a monster this year because of Quint Kubiak.
Again, you're not wrong. I think two things can be true. And Seattle is a great example of that. Chicago is a great example of that.
Yes.
Jacksonville is a great example of that. Seattle. So I think we're both correct. I just put more emphasis on the players. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Well, speaking of coaching, we have new head coaching hires in Pittsburgh. We have a new head coaching hire in Buffalo. We have a new offensive coordinator hire in Tennessee. Vegas, Arizona, Cleveland are still looking for coaches. Where do we want to start with this?
Does anybody want to be the Cleveland Browns head coach?
Let me answer this question because to me it's a little bit unfair because the Browns head coaching position is being held up because Jimmy Haslam is insisting that Jim Schwartz is going to be the defensive coordinator.
No. You called him by the wrong name. It's not Jimmy Haslam. It's Jerry Haslam.
Well, in my opinion, if Jerry Haslam would allow Nate Sneezelhouse, or however you say his name, to pick his defensive coordinator, he would have been the head coach of the Browns already. And I think the same thing potentially for Greg Uditsky as well.
Yeah. It leads me to believe Jim Schwartz is going to be elevated and just going to be named the head coach, which, he was not a great head coach when he was in Detroit. So we'll see if he's learned anything.
And that would mean that they would have just wasted the last 6 weeks, and they could have fired Kevin Stefanski about week 6 or week 7, and they could have made this decision and see if they got anything with Jim Schwartz. If Jim Schwartz or Todd Monken, God forbid Todd Monken, if one of those two guys becomes head coach of the Browns, that would mean this entire process would be worth nothing.
Yeah. It doesn't surprise me that the Browns, Raiders, and Cardinals are the three teams left without a head coach, because who would want to coach for any of those teams?
I mean, I would want to coach for the Raiders. I don't think that they're in that bad of a situation. If you like Fernando Mendoza enough. Arizona's got good weapons, The Browns just need someone to come in there and believe in Shador Sanders. Like all three of these jobs have some pluses. They're not all awful jobs, in my opinion.
Well, with the Raiders, you don't know how long you get to stay.
Well, if I can fix Fernando Mendoza, if I can have Fernando Mendoza at my hip and we can compete, I'll be there for 10 years easily.
By the way, I think the biggest coaching news that we got out of today is not Joe Brady being hired by Buffalo. It's not Mike McCarthy being named the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think it's Brian Daboll being named the offensive coordinator in Tennessee.
I agree with that. And listen, the AFC South, who knows what's going to go on with Daniel Jones? We saw the success the Jags have. We know what the Texans became at the end of the year. But Tennessee, with Robert Saleh and Brian Dable, that could flip overnight. Tennessee could theoretically be another worst to first team.
They really could. Like I said last week, I really like Robert Saleh as a head coach. As a Browns fan, I really wanted him. He was one of my top candidates. I think he got the short end of the stick with the Jets. It was a bad situation right from the beginning. Nobody was going to win in that situation. And I think he's going to be great. But what are we doing, Buffalo? Like, you had Brian Daboll right there.
I actually like this move. I like Joe Brady. You know, I've been advocating him for the Browns job for weeks. I think they wanted to go with that continuity. Now, does it make sense they blamed down the coaching staff for Keon Coleman and Joe Brady's head coach? No, nothing the Bills have done over the last couple of weeks makes sense. But if you want an offensive guy to embrace Josh Allen and maybe you can get more weapons out of Joe Brady, like I don't think this is a bad decision at all. I think Joe Brady is going to have success in Buffalo. Would I have preferred Dable because he has had coaching experience? Yes. But I know me and you, I think the biggest argument of contention we have is whether or not the Buffalo Bills Super Bowl window is close. And I think next year we'll have our definitive answer.
It is. I'm saying it now. It is.
So here's my question to you. If they make the AFC Championship game next year and lose, is the Super Bowl window still close?
Yes.
So you say they have to make the Super Bowl?
Yes.
Okay.
They are the definition of Super Bowl or bust.
Can I give you my way too early, not putting any fire to it, AFC Championship prediction next year?
Sure.
Bills Chargers.
I don't trust the Chargers.
I think Mike McDaniel is going to be one of the best hires of the offseason for that Charger team. I think it's a perfect fit. They get both their tackles back. I think Denver overachieved a little bit. They'll still be good. I don't think they'll be as good as they were. I think this was Denver's opportunity this year to win the Super Bowl. And like Buffalo, they didn't capitalize on it. Unfortunately, Bo Nix got hurt, or they might have beat New England. I don't think, even if the Patriots win the Super Bowl, I think they'll still be good. And they're a very young team. They have room to grow. But we all know what happens after you play in this game. You do oftentimes regress a little bit the next year.
Yeah, as you have said countless times, and as I said earlier, success is not linear. But I will say this. Why did Joe Brady have success at LSU in 2019? He had Joe Burrow, but he went spread offense because he saw the wide receivers he had. Justin Jefferson. I want to say Randy Moss's son was on that team.
Was tight end, yes.
Terrence Marshall, I believe, was on that team.
And he was really good for that. He wasn't good in the NFL, but he was really good for that team. Jamar Chase was on that team.
Yep, Jamar Chase. He also had Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So who I thought he was going to really work with the Kansas City Chiefs. So, but obviously it didn't. But that point aside, he's like, oh, that's a 5-star weapon. That's a 5-star weapon. That's a 5-star weapon. We're going to go spread offense, and it's going to be our guys against your guys. And I believe our guys can win.
And against Buffalo, they've completely changed. And now they're using James Cook and Khalil Shakir and whoever else they could find off the street.
Yes. And I think part of that is because, again, Buffalo doesn't have a great group of wide receivers.
No, I mean, but again, to your point, at LSU, they went 5 wide. At Buffalo, they did a little bit of 5 wide, but he adapted. Instead of receivers, they're using Dalton Kincaid, they're using Dawson Knox, they're using Shakir in the slot. Like, I really like Joe Brady, and I like this fit a lot.
Oh, I'm not trying to discredit Joe Brady. I'm actually doing what you were just saying. I'm, praising him for adapting. But at the same time, I think if Josh Allen and Brady, for that matter, had weapons to work with on the outside, they might go back to that LSU style offense.
We'll see. They got to get the defense right. We'll see if they invest more resources on that. But now to the NBA we go. As where there is smoke, there could be some fire. There was an article that came out this weekend that LeBron and the relationship with the old Lakers regime and Jeannie Buss was fractured. The new Laker ownership is not tied to LeBron. It does sound like, and we both said this when the Luka Doncic trade happened a year ago this weekend, that this Laker franchise is now transitioning from LeBron's team to Luka's team. And listen, LeBron can still put up points. He's not the defender he used to be. He can't give you 40 minutes all the time anymore. I think this Lakers team is definitely very top heavy. They're not very athletic. They don't shoot a lot. They still don't have a lot of bigs. And it just feels like, listen, yes, the Lakers did a lot of favors for LeBron and vice versa. But I think it is time. I don't think they're going to move on from him at the trade deadline. But I do think this will be LeBron's, not only his last year with the Lakers, but I think it could be his last year overall in the NBA.
So the Lakers are coming to Cleveland tomorrow to play the Cavaliers. Cavs have won 4 in a row. And unfortunately, we will be without Evan Mobley for the next couple weeks. And it's unfortunate timing because we're actually playing well right now. We've gotten ourselves right back into the mix in the Eastern Conference. We're just a couple games out of second place, which is currently held by the Boston Celtics.
Yeah.
But so just to address that, I don't feel like there's any team in the Eastern Conference that's really separated themselves from the rest.
I agree with that. I think you can make an argument the top 5 teams in the NBA are all in the West.
Yes. So if the Cavs can get healthy, with Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, Sam Merrill, I'm not as concerned about Max Strus. I still think we could be in the mix for the playoffs. I don't know about championship, but I still think we could be in the mix for the playoffs and be a factor.
I mean, we're definitely not going to miss the playoffs. The question is, are we going to get a top 4 seed or are we going to be in the play-in tournament?
Yeah, I do think we will make the actual playoffs, not do the play-in tournament. So it'll be interesting to see what the atmosphere is like tomorrow at Rocket Arena, because it could be LeBron's final time playing in Cleveland. As you said, maybe he retires at the end of the season.
Hey, Lakers, DeAndre Hunter for LeBron straight up. Who says no?
No, it's interesting you bring that up because given the emergence of Jalen Tyson, there are talks that maybe the Cavs could trade DeAndre Hunter to the LA Lakers.
And that's what I'm saying. Does that open up a spot? Listen, do I think LeBron would come back here for the minimum? No, I do not. But I love to see it, absolutely. And I don't even want to get into the GOAT discussion. This is just, I want to see LeBron one last time in a Cleveland uniform to end his career. I do think this may be his last time playing in Cleveland because I don't think, contrary to some people's belief, a lot of people think that he wants to go on a Kobe Bryant-esque retirement tour. I do not believe that. I think LeBron one day is just going to decide, I've had enough. That's it. And I, for some reason, when this article came out over the weekend, it does sound like to me the old Laker regime, technically under Jeannie Buss, is angry that the narrative out there is LeBron saved the Lakers. Not that they went and got LeBron, which is just completely wrong because the Lakers have been irrelevant for the past 15 years until LeBron got there, really.
Yeah. And I think there are still people who don't count that 2020 championship.
Which the difference between the NBA championship and the MLB championship is the Lakers were the best team in basketball that year. And that was the only year that Anthony Davis really stayed healthy.
Yeah. And I thought it was fitting that the Lakers won that championship given the events that played out. Like you mentioned, I think it was yesterday was the 6-year anniversary of Kobe.
Yeah.
I remember that day vividly. I was in my college dorm and I saw the reports on TMZ and I'm like, there is no way this is true.
And by the way, I thought the fact that TMZ reported that even before the family knew, I did a whole essay on that because I was in college ball at the time. I just thought it was so wrong.
But no, because it was TMZ that initially reported it. I'm like, okay, TMZ puts out fake stories like this all the time. Like, you know me, I'm one of those very skeptical fans. But when I started seeing the reports roll in from CNN and ABC, Fox, NBC, ESPN, I'm like, oh shit, this is legit.
Yeah, and again, like if you think about it, the Lakers franchise since Kobe retired was down in the dumpster. They tried the Lonzo Ball thing, it didn't work. LeBron did get the championship, but this does now feel like the era of Luka Doncic in LA. And really, if you look at LeBron's 8 tenures in Los Angeles, outside of the one championship year, they really did, I would say, overall underachieve.
Yeah, I agree. For example, to get eliminated in 5 games last year by the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yeah, a series that, I thought going into it, as much as I loved Anthony Edwards, I thought that LeBron and Luka were the two best players in that series. I was wrong. Turns out Ant was the best player in the series.
Yeah. And didn't Denver sweep them in the Western Conference Finals, if I'm not mistaken?
They was that 5 games, and the next year they swept them? I believe so, yes.
Because I know one of those series, Denver.
Yeah, they beat them in 5, and then the next year in the first round, they swept them.
Okay. I do remember that was one of the closest. No, I think it was the conference finals where they swept them.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because we said it was the closest sweep ever, because they lost every game by like 3 points.
Yes, and one of those games in Denver, I believe, the Nuggets won on
game
Jamal.
2, they had them, and Jamal Murray hit that game-winning shot, and it was over.
Yes, and that's why I said, as much as I love Jokic, the most important player for the Nuggets was Jamal Murray. Again, not trying to discredit Jokic in any way. But like while Jokic has been out, Jamal Murray is the one who's had to keep them afloat.
Absolutely. Well, in Chicago, the Bears, not the Bears, the Bulls, excuse me, have retired the number 1 of Derrick Rose. I got to be honest with you here, Josh. I know Derrick Rose, one of the greatest players of all time, maybe one of the biggest what-ifs of all time if he didn't get hurt after that tremendous 2011 season. But when I think of retiring jerseys, I think of guys that have done great for the franchise, brought teams championships. Derrick Rose is one of the most talented players of all time. But I compare this to like Carmelo Anthony with the Nuggets, where he was a great player, got them to a conference finals, never got them to an NBA finals, and clearly they did not retire his number because it's being worn right now by the Joker. And so for me, I get it. Chicago, you love Derrick Rose, that era with Luol Deng and Taj Gibson and Joakim Noah. They were really good teams. I just think, and I know it's a franchise thing, and I understand that, but I don't know. I don't think he really deserved to get that number retired if it was me.
It's interesting because if you remember, I think it was last season, we had a similar discussion when the Warriors decided to retire Andre Iguodala's jersey.
Yeah, and like listen, Iguodala was the Finals MVP. he was the reason why they won that 2015 finals. That right there to me is eligible to get your jersey retired by a franchise.
So if I'm not mistaken, he won. Derrick Rose won Rookie of the Year for the Chicago.
Yep, and they were the number 1 seed, I believe, and then he blew his knee out, and then that was pretty much the end of Derrick Rose.
Yeah, I know he went on to play for Detroit. He played with us briefly. I remember
that.
I
mean, he's played with a bunch of different teams. He's bounced around the league, but he never, very similar, actually, to Russell Westbrook, as in when the athleticism went down, the shooting went down, he was never really the same player.
Yeah. By the way, I think Russ will absolutely get his jersey retired by Oklahoma City, and he fully deserves it.
See, I would make an argument he doesn't deserve it.
Oh, yes, he does.
Because what winning did he do? Again, when he was on his own without Kevin Durant, they didn't win diddly squat.
He had one of the greatest MVP seasons we've ever seen.
Okay, and they were the 6th seed, and he was ball hogging to get that triple-double and moving people out of the way because that's all he cared about was the triple-double. and by the way, he can't shoot either, so.
You know, it's interesting, though, that we're talking about Westbrook because him and Derrick Rose were
they're very similar players. That's why I'm making the argument. Neither of them should get their jersey retired by their team, and neither of them should be in the Hall of Fame.
And I bet you, I don't know about Derrick Rose, but I bet you Russell Westbrook will get in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean, if Carmelo Anthony's in the Hall of Fame, Russ is going to get in.
Dwight Howard is in the Hall of Fame.
Because it's the Basketball Hall of Fame. The NBA, I've argued with you for this for years. To me, the NBA needs to do what the NFL does, which is create an NBA Hall of Fame, not a Basketball Hall of Fame.
So what do you do with the women's players then?
You make your own WNBA Hall of Fame. It's got a legacy. It's got a league of its own.
Hopefully we actually see the WNBA this season because they're having CBA issues at the moment. But getting back to this, I did love watching those Bulls teams with Derrick Rose.
Oh, they were absolutely fun to watch. And I told you this about John Morant. I think John Morant's the most fun to watch player maybe I've ever seen. Derrick Rose is in there and Russell Westbrook's in there. Doesn't mean I don't like their athletic ability. It doesn't mean I won't turn on the TV set. But listen, Draymond Green's fun to watch commit fouls. It doesn't mean he's a Hall of Famer.
And yet you know he's going to be a Hall of Famer.
Yes, because he's won championships, which should be the end-all, be-all. Derrick Rose never even, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't even know, did they make a conference final?
2011 against Miami, yes.
Okay, so just like Carmelo Anthony, 2009 against the Lakers, one conference final, and that's it.
Because I want to say 2012, Miami played Boston in the conference
finals. They did. Remember,
and
they were down 3-2, and LeBron had what I still think next to the 2018 game against the Warriors is the greatest game of his career, that Game 6 against the Celtics.
Yes, and then in 2013 and 2014, they had that great rivalry with the Indiana Pacers.
And young Paul George, man. Those Pacer teams were fun teams. But again, should Paul George get his jersey retired by the Pacers? I don't think he should.
No. See, that one, I agree with you. And
what's the difference between Paul George and Derrick Rose?
No,
that's my question.
I do agree with you about Derrick Rose. I don't think he should have gotten his jersey retired.
What's the difference between Paul George, Derrick Rose, and Russell Westbrook then? Because I think they're all the same.
Okay, so with Russell Westbrook, he was part of that 2012 team that got the Thunder to the NBA Finals against the Miami Heat. He had, again, he averaged a triple-double and won league MVP. The Thunder were constantly in the playoffs. No, they didn't make deep runs. I'll give you that.
Chicago and Indiana were both constantly in the playoffs. I mean, it's like Bradley Beal, right? He was constantly in the playoffs with the Wizards.
Oh, Bradley Beal does not deserve to get his jersey retired.
Thank you. Okay, so we're on the same page there.
Yes, I don't think the Washington Wizards should retire John Wall's jersey.
Okay,
but my guess is they will.
I just think the jersey retirement thing is too overblown. Just like I think guys getting in the Hall of Fame is too overblown. Just like the Pro Bowl now is turned into a joke. If George Sanders can become a Pro Bowler, it's all a joke.
It really is.
It's why I don't like awards. Now, do I think like obviously Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love, LeBron, they're all going to be retired by us. Like, I don't even know. Like, I know Z's number's retired by us. I know they want to retire Anderson Varejão's number. I don't know about that. I get why, but again,
I don't
think
know if they're going to retire Kyrie's jersey. That one I question.
You're right, because of the way he was. I mean, but
yeah.
This is all about politics, really.
No, I agree. But since you're talking about the Cavs retiring jerseys, I absolutely agree with you about them retiring Kevin Love's jersey and, of course, LeBron's. The one I really want them to retire is Tristan Thompson. I know that's
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
Interesting. Why do you agree with me on that one? I want to hear your...
He's a champion. That's the argument. Plain and simple. We don't win that championship without Double T.
Thank you. I thought the best game of that series for him was Game 6 when he just became an absolute rebounding machine.
I agree with you.
The way him and Kevin Love were able to switch out onto Steph and Clay, but again, if he does not have that rebound like bonanza in Game 6, we don't win that series.
Well, I know you think that WWE thinks that they forgot about the Royal Rumble this weekend.
Because I assure you
they don't. They did not.
They did. They absolutely did.
Did you have evidence of that?
They only started like having people enter the Royal Rumble. What, last week? It's like, oh right, we have the Royal Rumble.
Okay, can I tell you that technically you don't have to have anybody declare for the Royal Rumble?
By the way, what was this nonsense on Monday Night Raw last night? You had guys declaring for the Royal Rumble. Finn Balor goes up to Adam Pearce and goes, I want to declare for the Royal Rumble. And Adam Pearce says, no. What?
Well, all 30 spots are filled. I mean, the Vision took the last 4 spots.
Yeah, because some higher power told Adam Pearce to put everybody in. Honestly, I don't give a crap about the Royal Rumble. I really don't. There's not one match on there where I'm like, oh my God, I have to watch that. Like AJ Styles versus Gunther. Okay, great. Gunther's been, the retirement guy. He retired Goldberg. He retired John Cena. As much as I love AJ Styles, it doesn't mean that much to me. We know Drew McIntyre is going to retain against Sami Zayn. There is no jeopardy there. Roman Reigns is in the Royal Rumble. Whoop-de-doo. Jey Uso's in the Royal Rumble. He shouldn't have won it last year, but whatever.
Hey, wait a minute. You picked him to win the Rumble, so how can you say he shouldn't have won it?
They only did it because he was the hot commodity at the time.
But you picked him, so you can't say, oh, he shouldn't have won it. But you said, I think Jey Uso is going to win the Royal Rumble because he should go on to face Gunther. And now, a year later, you said, oh, he shouldn't have won it. You can't do that.
It's called retrospect.
Okay, but there is something in sports called take integrity.
Okay, yes. At the time, he was the hot commodity, and
so at the time, it was the right call.
No. Okay, let me rephrase that. At that time, it was the right decision. But looking back, it doesn't feel like the right decision.
Okay, anymore. We can look back at everything. We can look back 10 years ago and say, you know what? Nick Foles probably shouldn't have won that Super Bowl against the Patriots. Guess what? He did.
But, I don't know. It just doesn't feel like WWE is like put all the time and effort into the Royal Rumble. to make me care about it. Like,
Oh,
you know,
I disagree. I think they have came out this year in January, guns a blazing. Raw has been excellent television. SmackDown has been excellent television, and they are building so many branches. There are so many options of where you can go for most of the match. I agree with you. Drew McIntyre, 99% chance he's going to defeat Sami Zayn. There's a word out there, Sami Zayn beats Drew McIntyre. I do believe that because there's so many different options you can go with Sami Zayn. Does Sami Zayn, excuse me, does Sami Zayn enter in the Royal Rumble? Does he win it? Does he challenge Drew McIntyre again? Does he enter the Royal Rumble and get thrown out? Does he lose against Drew McIntyre and go crazy and turn heel? There's so many branching off options you can do. And you don't really need to tell a lot of story between Sami and Drew because the story is already there because we already know what the story is. That Sami Zayn has not been able to defeat Drew McIntyre.
yes. It just feels like they threw this together, this match. Like, I get it.
In a way, they did because Drew McIntyre has only been champion for 2 or 3 weeks.
Right. Because he won it on that SmackDown.
On January 9th in Berlin.
By the way, I did not watch Saturday night's main event. I was too busy watching UFC 324.
How was that, by the way?
It was amazing. I cannot wait to watch UFC 325 this weekend. Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopez 2 for the undisputed UFC Featherweight Championship. I will say I did not like that there were commercials during the walkouts and that there were commercials during the fighter in between the rounds when we the fans like to see what the coaches are saying to the fighters because that's one of the great things about UFC is they show the walkouts, they show the corner meetings. So I did not like that aspect of it. But other than that, I thought it was great. But getting back to WWE stuff, I do like what they're doing with Cody Rhodes and Jacob Fatu. That's one of my favorite things going right now. I think, and I don't mind that it's probably going to be a triple threat match. Not the direction I would go personally. I'm okay with it though. I would prefer it to just be straight up Cody Rhodes, Jacob Fatu. Let this match and feud get really personal and intense. Settle at WrestleMania with some type of stipulation.
By the way, there's a world they could do that because there's a world you do the triple threat match in Elimination Chamber and Drew wins. And what if Sami wins the Rumble? And then you get Sami and Drew at Mania and you get Cody and Jacob, which I know is your dream. I also think Cody, Drew, and Jacob are going to do the triple threat match at Elimination Chamber. I don't think that it's the night 1 or night 2 main event of WrestleMania because I don't even think Drew McIntyre is walking into WrestleMania as champion. I think the WrestleMania feud will be Drew and Jacob, and I think Cody's getting the belt back at Elimination Chamber and walking in as champion.
I hope not. That would be the absolute worst thing for WWE to do.
Well,
do not have
Cody walk. Cody is, I believe, Cody Rhodes is walking into WrestleMania as champion against Roman Reigns.
Oh God, no, we don't need to see that match for a third time. No.
Yes, we do. Because it is the biggest match in the history of the business. You have the 1-star Roman Reigns, the 1-star Cody Rhodes. They're 1-1 against each other. It's the OTC 1 versus the QB 1. You don't even need to really build it. That is the match. If you want to make WrestleMania the biggest event possible, that's the biggest match you could put on at that show. The story is there because Roman Reigns never got a rematch for that title. And there is still beef with him and Cody Rhodes.
We've seen that match already. I don't want to see it again.
I could see them wrestle 30 times. I don't care.
I guess that's me being more of the actual wrestling fan than you. And
because it's about the story. I was having an argument with this person on the internet, and it wasn't an AEW or WB argument. It was a storytelling versus wrestling argument. I don't care if a wrestling match is dog shit. They could just throw fake punches all day. I don't care. I don't watch for the wrestling. I watch for the story.
See, I watch for both. If the story's good, then I'm good. I'm still gonna be invested, even if the match is shit. But so
that's my point.
But like, if the match is good, but the story is not, I'm still satisfied.
Oh no, I'm not satisfied at all because I feel like I just wasted my time. Why should I watch two guys do flippy shit, bounce off the top rope when they have no reason for me to care about them?
Okay. No, I think, again, as I've said throughout this show, 2 points can be true.
I think that's the theme of tonight's show. 2 points can be true.
Yes.
And also, success is not linear.
Yes. Because you're not wrong in your view of this. If they do Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns Part 3, I understand it. I fully understand it. I don't agree with them doing it. I don't want Cody Rhodes to walk into WrestleMania as champion. I am sick and tired of it. I don't want him to win Royal Rumble again.
Well, he's not going to win the Rumble. I believe him and Jacob Fatu are going to eliminate each other.
And I think that should be the WrestleMania match, just the two of them.
Which it could be. I do think the winner of the men's Royal Rumble is going to be Braun Breaker. However, this is what I would do. I would not have Braun Breaker declare which champion he's going after. I would have the Elimination Chamber match take place, and whether you want him to return at the Royal Rumble or the Elimination Chamber, I think Seth Rollins should win the Elimination Chamber. He declares that he is going to face CM Punk because they still have beef. Braun Breaker said, no, you're not going to face CM Punk. I'm the Royal Rumble winner. I'm facing CM Punk. With the main event of night one is a triple threat match. Last year we had Punk, Reigns, and Rollins. This year we have Punk, Breaker, and Rollins.
See, I'd be all right with them doing CM Pinky versus Seth Rollins. Or do you want me to call him Pepsi Phil?
I mean, that's better than Pinky.
Okay, fair enough. I'd be all right with that. Although I hated the main event a couple weeks ago. I thought it was an overbooked mess. But nonetheless, I do think Braun Breaker is going to win the men's Royal Rumble. I know Bianca Belair is the favorite for the women's.
She is the favorite. I thought Liv Morgan was the favorite. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, it's interesting you bring up Liv Morgan because she is my pick to win the women's Royal Rumble. And I think she's going to go after Stephanie.
Okay, so we are on opposite sides here again because I don't think Stephanie Belair is walking into WrestleMania as champion at all. And I think Bianca Belair is winning the Royal Rumble. She is going to challenge Jade Cargill for the Women's Championship.
Okay.
On the Women's World Championship side. I think right after the Elimination Chamber, because I think inside the Elimination Chamber, Rhea Ripley and Io Sky are going to defend the Women's Tag Team Championships in the chamber. So there will not be a number one contender for the World Championship Women's Chamber this year. The Women's Elimination Chamber match this year will be the Women's Tag Team Championship match. I think Rhea and Io lose the belts. I think before WrestleMania, Rhea Ripley will win the Women's World Championship from Stephanie Belair, and she will face Io Sky for the Women's World Championship at WrestleMania as Rhea tries to get her one-on-one victory over Io that she has not gotten yet.
Which would kind of be the story they had going into last year's WrestleMania. That was a triple threat match. Oh, right. It was
involving Bianca Belair. Io won the title from Rhea before Mania.
That's correct. By the way, outside of Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton, that was the match I was most excited for going into WrestleMania.
I think there's a world where Sami Zayn turns heel and you have Randy Orton versus Sami Zayn at WrestleMania. Maybe Kevin Owens is the special guest referee.
Oh my God, I want Kevin Owens back so bad. WWE has not been the same this year without him. He is one of the modern GOATs in WWE. He really is.
I agree with you. And unfortunately, as sad as it is, because I do too, love AJ Styles. I remember seeing him way back. I first watched him in TNA when I was an avid TNA watcher in the 2009, 2010, 2011 Aces and Eights, Jeff Hardy, Kurt Angle, Sting, Beer Money, those days of TNA. I think that this is the way AJ's wanted to go out. We saw Shinsuke Nakamura delete that Instagram story post where he said that AJ Styles told him about a year in advance that he wanted to retire at the Royal Rumble 2026. I don't think he wanted a retirement tour like the one they gave John Cena. He's been quietly having some matches against friends of his, CM Punk last night on Raw, Shinsuke Nakamura at Saturday night's main event. I do think there is a world, maybe you get a DQ finish, maybe you extend this to WrestleMania. It does feel a little bit out of left field, but unfortunately, I do think the ring general puts AJ Styles to sleep. And my guess is in the Royal Rumble, Gunther still competes. He is eliminated by the Beast Incarnate himself. And that's how we get to Gunther versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania.
Personally, I don't want that match. I understand if they go in that direction. I like that Gunther has kind of become what Randy Orton was. Remember, Randy Orton was the legend killer for a while.
Now Gunther is the career killer, and that feud down the line is going to be a very good feud when they run it at some point.
I will be sitting on the edge of my seat during that feud. I can assure you that. But like I said, it does feel like Gunther has kind of taken on that persona from Randy Orton. Which, hot take, I have Randy Orton as the GOAT, not John Cena. But nonetheless.
And, there is a word out there where what if Cody wins the title back and Orton turns heel and you have Cody versus Orton? That's what I'm telling you. This is why I'm excited about the Rumble. We can say all we want. I don't know what direction they're going. I think Seth Rollins is coming back. I don't know that for sure. I think Cody might get the title back. I don't know. There's a world where Sami Zayn could theoretically be the world champion by the end of the Rumble. I know you say there's no shot. I think there's a shot.
You're making valid points, but for me, watching WWE recently, it just feels like they're not putting the time and effort into the Royal Rumble like they have in the past.
Well, I think it's overshadowed because last year's was so hyped that nothing was going to top it.
And I do agree with you there, but it just feels like I've been watching. I have. And I've been trying to give WWE a fair chance. I really have. I'm not trying to intentionally be a contrarian and say it's all bad and all that. I really am trying to give it a fair chance. And from my perspective, it just doesn't feel like they know.
Look at the names, though, Josh, are going to be in this Rumble. Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, Jacob Fatu, Gunther, Brock Lesnar, Oba Femi. I think I mentioned Braun Breaker already. LA Knight, I think is going to return. I think this is where you get the return of Y2J Chris Jericho. My prediction is actually that Jericho will eliminate LA Knight. Those two will have a feud going into WrestleMania. I think there's a lot of star power that maybe they haven't announced, but you look at these names, Jey Uso, Seth Rollins. It could be just as star-studded as last year's. Maybe they haven't done the best job of promoting it like they did last year because it was all based off John Cena. But this is a star-studded field.
I'm not saying it's not. It just doesn't feel like they've been shouting at the rooftops, hey, the Royal Rumble is happening on Saturday.
Well, I think part of it is because you had Saturday night's main event, you had the Rumble, and there was sort of this weird spot because Drew winning the championship did change everything. And that was my point. That's why I loved it so much that Drew won the title. Because
No,
if
I
Cody,
agree.
because if Cody stayed champion, there's no hype around this show. Cody's going into WrestleMania as champion. Maybe they even would have ran Cody versus Randy at the Rumble, but no one would have cared because we knew Cody would have won. Drew winning the championship, not only does it offset everything on SmackDown, now we're questioning, could CM Punk lose the world title? I'm going to tell you something. There was a thought in my head last night during the main event of Raw where I'm like, does AJ win the title and then Gunther beats him on Saturday and you just have Gunther going to WrestleMania as champion? That thought popped in my head.
No, that's fair. I had a feeling it was going to end in shenanigans. I did not trust Finn Balor at all. I think they are going to run that match at Elimination Chamber, especially because it is in Chicago.
By the way, what do you do with Finn? Because I think you turn Dom and Liv and you keep Finn the heel, but I think they may go the opposite direction.
It feels like they are. By the way, I do, as much as I like that they're doing the street fight next week, I wish that match was on the happening this weekend. I get it.
Here's the thing. The two Rumble matches are going to take 2 hours. AJ and Gunther is probably 30 minutes. The undisputed champion destroyed 30. I mean, with all their timing and everything, it's going to be a 4-hour show with 4 matches.
I understand that, but I'm actually invested in Raquel versus Stephanie right now.
I'm not. Stephanie doesn't do anything for me. I think her promos since she became champion have gotten worse. Part of it is because they don't have a lot of heels on Raw, which I get it. And I think Naomi losing the championship completely destroyed the Women's World Championship because they had no plans beyond that.
Right. By the way, the tag team title scene on Raw is pathetic. The Creeds are getting in the match for the number 1 contender. I think they fell into a phantom zone.
Again, the Usos are tag team champions and they don't know what to do with them because the world title picture is so crowded at the top. I don't know. I just think that there's so much that we don't know yet that's going to be answered coming out of the Royal Rumble. The WrestleMania picture will be more clear once we come out of the Rumble, but I don't think it's going to be all settled yet.
The frustrating part is usually going into the Rumble, we have an idea of what some of the WrestleMania matches could be. You start seeing some of the feuds developing. I don't see that yet. And I think that's part of my issue also. But let
me ask you this. Is that a product of WrestleMania being later in the calendar in April, not being the first in April? It's like April 18th.
I think WrestleMania 40, I want to say it was the same night as the men's Final Four.
Yeah, it was. But WrestleMania 41 was pushed back 2 weeks. So was 42. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I think because WrestleMania is being pushed back, you have more time where the Rumble doesn't need to start. You can start building at the Rumble, but you have way more time now than you usually do between the Chamber and Mania.
By the way, you brought up AJ Styles and this possibly being his final match. 2 of my favorite WrestleMania feuds AJ had. The one against Chris Jericho going into, I think it was Mania 32, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
What my favorite promo during that feud? Y2 Jackass. It was that promo had me laughing. But my other feud that I absolutely loved, it was my favorite feud going into WrestleMania 40. AJ Styles, LA Knight. It was so good.
The ironic thing is, I think AJ Styles' best WrestleMania feud was Shane McMahon.
Oh, going into WrestleMania 30.
Going into WrestleMania 33.
33, yes.
And they opened the show, and that might have been the best match on that card.
Yeah, but for me, there was just something about the chemistry AJ Styles had with LA Knight going into Mania 40, I was so invested in that feud. And going in, like, same thing with him and Jericho. Like I said, that promo alone sealed it for me when he just goes, Y2 jackass. And
Well,
the like,
go ahead.
there was just something about those two together. I'm like, this is just great. This
Well,
is amazing.
while we're talking about AJ Styles from WrestleMania matches, watching Saturday night's main event made me think of what would have happened if Triple H was in charge when Shinsuke Nakamura was at his peak. Because that AJ Shinsuke Nakamura match we watched on Saturday, and I know you didn't see it, that should have been what their WrestleMania 34 match was, whatever the hell Vince booked.
Oh yeah, and that whole heel turn was terrible.
And I said, as a casual wrestling fan, I know this is going to annoy a lot of you, and you guys are going to call me an idiot, and I don't care because to me, it's the truth. The most I enjoyed Shinsuke Nakamura's WWE run was when he was rocking out with Rick Boogs and Pat McAfee.
Oh,
that's when he was most over. I'm just going to be honest with you, with the WWE audience, until this recent match with AJ Styles.
Yeah, he, like, his United States Championship reign, he did nothing. He just won it from
Either
LA.
or. Remember, he had the U.S. title in 2018 too.
Yep. Well, I honestly forgot until you just said that.
That's my point. So, it's going to be a very interesting weekend, but we're going to finish it off with a topic about the Tampa Bay Lightning. Josh, go ahead.
So, the two most recent dynasties in the NHL have been down in the Sunshine State. The Florida Panthers have been to 3 consecutive Stanley Cup Finals. They've won back-to-back, and in 2024 and 2025. And prior to that, you had the Tampa Bay Lightning go to 3 straight Stanley Cup Finals, winning in 2020 in the NHL bubble against the Dallas Stars. And then they won the Cup in 2021 against the Montreal Canadiens, which that's not a traditional Stanley Cup final matchup because Montreal and Tampa Bay are actually both in the Eastern Conference and they're in the Atlantic Division. But the divisions had to be realigned and the playoffs got all messed up in 2021 because of the pandemic and whatnot. But so yes, I love outdoor hockey. Trust me, I do. And I know who Bowser is. I work with him with the Cleveland Monsters. I will be working the game on Friday or on Saturday. At least I think. I will be at the game on Friday. I'll address that in a minute. But the Tampa Bay Lightning will be hosting the Boston Bruins in the 2026 NHL Stadium Series at Raymond James Stadium, home of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. As an NHL fan who loves the outdoor games, I hate this. Especially because the Florida Panthers, I get it. They're the modern dynasty right now. They've been to 3 straight Stanley Cups. They are the back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. They got to host the Winter Classic down in Miami. No. I hate that.
So wait, this is different from the Winter Classic. They do another stadium game now?
They do 2 outdoor games a season. The Winter Classic and the Stadium Series.
Okay.
Last year, the Columbus Blue Jackets hosted the NHL Stadium.
The Red Wings, right? Yep, I remember that.
And it's already been announced that the 2027 Winter Classic will be in Salt Lake City, Utah, between the Utah Mammoth and the Colorado Avalanche.
Wait, there's a hockey team in Utah?
Yep.
Since when?
Since last year.
I didn't know that. I'm completely transparent. I had no idea Utah had another team besides the Jazz.
Yep. The Arizona Coyotes moved from Arizona to Salt Lake City Last year they were just the Utah hockey team.
Oh, okay. I remember hearing something about that. I don't know why I thought it was like a couple years down the line.
Nope. And this year they announced their new name, the Utah Mammoth.
That's why, because I didn't know what their name was.
Yeah. So they will be hosting the Winter Classic. That's the Winter Classic, rightfully. It's gonna be snowing. It's gonna look great. They're gonna be in the foothills of the mountains because they're gonna be playing at the University of Utah's stadium. I hate this that the NHL is doing the stadium series in Tampa Bay. I get it. Like the Lightning have been one of the dominant teams. I get it. But just have them play in the out stadium series. Don't have them host it. Like, for me, the fact that both the Panthers and Lightning hosted, I hate it. It takes away the magic of why I love watching the Winter Classic and the Stadium Series. It's supposed to be outside, snowing, cold. It's part of the magic. It's what makes these games so special. Yeah, yes, I remember that, and it was great. I loved it. Yes, it was down in Dallas, but it's not like it was 74 degrees and sunny.
Well, it's going to be 55 in Tampa, so it's not. I mean, it's not that warm.
Okay, but the Winter Classic at Lone Depot Park was, and they closed the roof, I believe. Or that maybe they had the roof open, but regardless, no, the Winter Classic does not belong in Miami. The Stadium Series does not belong in Tampa Bay.
I would agree. Again, not knowing anything about hockey, I think when you name something the Winter Classic, it should be in like an East Coast or Midwest. The Stadium Series, though, I could see them hosting in a warmish weather city.
I mean, they've done it in LA, so and they did it. They've done it in like Raleigh, North Carolina, but at the same time, no, I agree with you. Outdoor hockey is the best, but let's see. They actually had the roof open, but when the Winter Classic was in T-Mobile Park, those were wintry conditions when the Kraken played the Vegas Golden Knights. I don't want Vegas hosting the Winter Classic or the Outdoor Classic or the Winter
the
Classic.
Stadium Series.
Yes. From what I've heard, Dallas is hosting the Stadium Series next year at the Cowboys Stadium. I personally don't love that either.
So why do you have a Stadium Series if it's going to be indoors? I guess just to get more people in the building?
I guess. But, like, I get it. You want to reward the Panthers. You want to reward the Lightning. But just have them play in the games. Like, for me personally, I'd love to see the Winter Classic be played here in Cleveland. I know we don't have an NHL team, but the Columbus Blue Jackets are 2 hours away. You could have them face the Pittsburgh Penguins in the Winter Classic. Hell, the Cleveland Monsters, they were originally the AHL affiliate of the Colorado Avalanche up until the 2015 season. So why not do Avalanche Blue Jackets 2028 Winter Classic, First Energy Stadium in Cleveland? I would do it. But no, it is not the best stadium in the NFL, Nate. The best stadium in the NFL is Lumen Field, Seattle. You and I are always going to debate that. But to finish off, come out to Rocket Arena Friday and Saturday. It is Lake Erie Monsters weekend, so we are throwing it back because it is the 10-year anniversary of when we won the Calder Cup in a sweep against the Hershey Bears. Oliver Bjorkstrand put the puck in the back of the net with like 0.9 seconds left in overtime. We are throwing it back. Lake Erie Monsters weekend, Friday night, Saturday night. Belleville Senators are in town, AHL affiliate of the Ottawa Senators. I believe Friday night is a T-shirt giveaway for the first 5,000 fans. Saturday night is a Zach Wierenski bobblehead. You do not want to miss this.
Well,
Come on
Friday
out.
night should be 1, 2, 3 hot dog, beer, soft drink night because
I
that's they
believe-
usually do Friday night. So.
Yes. So come on out.
I do second this. RC Cola is the best. I do second that.
Oh, don't get Nate started on RC Cola. He loves RC Cola.
Bowser, by the way, for the record, I just want to let you know I'm not a hockey fan. I'm an NFL, I'm an NBA, Major League Baseball, and WWE/professional wrestling fan. But that's all the time we have for this edition of Championship Rings because, Josh, when we come back next week, we have to talk about a game that will be played for the 60th time that will represent a rematch of Super Bowl 49. Answer this question real quick before we get off the air tonight. How many Browns games have I been to Huntington Bank Field? I have seen the Chargers, I've seen the Bucks, and I've seen the Eagles twice. That'd be 4 games. You want to count a preseason game against the Eagles in 2018, it would be 5 games. So
I have been to way more than that.
I have been to more Browns games than I have been to Cavs games. It's sad to say. But with that, that's all the time we have for this edition of Championship Rings. As always, he is Ungar the Max House and Sports Room Talk Show, Josh Ungar. I am Brendan with those of Brandon's World. We'll see you next week where we will break down Super Bowl 60. And with that, have a great night. Peace.
See ya.